So yeah, I just downloaded a few assignments. We'll go through them one by one, starting with Melanie. I don't think we've seen this one yet. By the way, I combined them for you if they were separated, just to save some time. So what do we have here? Gulf Food, um, Gulf Food, Dubai World Trade Center. So right off the bat, I would make sure you don't stretch the images like this one. Remember, let me just real quick as an example. Okay, take this image for example. You might like, okay, if you hold control, you could scale stuff, right? If you do that, you'll squish it. If you do this, you might also squish it, right? So when you're scaling, hold shift to avoid that. But in InDesign, that's probably not the way it happened. You probably just made it smaller like this, and then you did fit content to frame. That's the problem. So careful with fitting content to frame. It's gonna force the content to fit inside, and then it's gonna end up squishing it like that. So instead, it's better to just do when you're doing fitting, fill frame proportionally to just crop off some of the area. It's better to crop it off than squish it. Or you could do a fit content proportionally, which will try to fit the whole thing in there, but then you'll have extra box, which you can shrink down. Anyways, um, okay, so yeah, try not to squish the images. Same with the logo and this picture, and like some of these pictures a lot of them look squished. So try not to do that. Logo here, you could see that this one's fine, but this one's squished, and this is also. Um, so branding wise, I think makes sense. We got the red and the black and the white background, kind of consistent throughout. Um, this last one is a little bit messy on the bottom. You just kind of slapped a bunch of stuff on. It looks like you just cut it, like if you cut out from a magazine and just glued it in there. That's the way it kind of looks right there. And also, like the word sponsor is way too close to the top and cut off. So I don't know. I would take some time to organize it. I think if you use the grid, it would help you put things together nicely. Definitely use the grid. Um, if you don't know how to create a grid, it's just, let's see if this one has it. If you go into screen mode, normal view, if it's not there, probably need to go to grids and guides and show guides. And then if we have any grids, looks like we don't have guides, so there's no actual grid on here, but there are columns that this page uses. But I'm talking about, let's create a new document. If you go to layout, create guides, just lay down some guidelines like this, and it's really gonna help to organize things. You just stick to the guide, so you can have one element here, another element might take up. Let's Let me just fill that so it's easier to move, and also to see. So like it doesn't matter how you arrange it as long as you stick to the guides. I think it will make things look much better. Right? No matter how like random you place it, it's still gonna look really good. Okay, so the rest of it, let's see. It's a food. What is it? World Trade Center. Um, It was some kind of food event. We can tell that much, and there's the date and the location. I think we already saw another one in Dubai World Trade Center. You guys must be rich going to Dubai all the time. Close that. Let's go girly next. What do we have here? Monster Jam. Um, okay, the February looks kind of squished in the sun. Like this and this and this. Everything looks like you stretched it a different amount. Careful with that too. So even text, when you're bringing in text, you might accidentally squish it. Say February. So holding control and scaling it, that's probably what you ended up doing. Um, so just again, hold shift if you're gonna do that, if you're trying to scale it up that way, or just make the box bigger and increase the font size. If you do this and your text disappears, it just means it doesn't fit in the box. So you just need to like double click the bottom or the left side or the corner to automatically enlarge the box so that it does fit. Okay, but if you're ever scaling holding the command or control button, make sure you also hold shift so you don't end up squishing it. Right, because it looks like you're using three different fonts, even though it's probably the same font. Also, I would probably put like February on its own line. If you see like it's hard to fit, all that on one single line, maybe just put like February 12 and 18 right below it, 2023 on another line. Right, other than that, I think Monster Jam Path of. I didn't know. I didn't know you're into monster trucks, but that's interesting. I don't. I'm not trying to be brutal. Just trying to give useful critique. I don't want to just say everything looks nice. Don't change anything. So I'll try to look for something on each of them today. Um, Path of Destruction. I would get rid of the white outline or make the whole thing white so it shows up better on that blue background. It makes it hard to read when you use outlines on like, small text like that. Right here, okay. Looks good. I think you squished the images squished a little, but already talked about that. And alright, this one for the Instagram. Remember that even though it's 1080 by 1080, you're probably not gonna look at it at 100%. Let me zoom into 100%. How do I zoom into 100%? View. Where's the view button? Anyways, it might someone might be looking at this on their phone. It's gonna be kind of tiny, so um, try to make use of that space and make your text a lot bigger. This is really tiny right here, so I'll make that a lot bigger. And also, don't be afraid. Um, this goes for this one and the last one we looked at. Don't be afraid to leave some areas empty. You don't need to fill up the whole page. Okay, yeah, and see, I think we saw this yesterday. I remember seeing Konex, but for some reason it looked different. Maybe you redid it or something. So yeah, it does look improved, unless maybe it was a different assignment, but it looks familiar kind of, but different. Um, let's see. So I like the background that you put there. That's cool. Um, so maybe crop it a little bit differently, because on this one it's like nice and sharp looking, but here it's all blurred. Kind of looks like the image is just low quality. It doesn't look like it's the blurred area of the image. Here too. So maybe move that image around, crop it a little bit differently. Um, See if you could either find like a SVG or a PNG of the logo, so you don't have to use that white background. But if you are going to use the white background, give it a little bit more padding, a little bit more white around, I think would look better. And again, avoid putting outlines on text. I mean, here I guess it's fine. Um, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of outlining around the text, I guess. What else? Maybe make this text white. White would probably read better on that dark blue background. Here too, and here too. But I like how it's consistent. I mean, the way you've laid out the title and the date and stuff. But again, same thing I said before. If someone for the flyer, you're gonna probably be reading this like full size. You could have small text, but for these social media posts, try to keep the text a lot bigger so easier to read, because it might be really hard for someone to see what it says down here, especially with the black text. So make text bigger. Try to zoom out of your, like every time you're working on something, zoom out, look at it from far, see if everything can be read easily. Okay,
Thanks, David.
you're welcome. And now we're at Leandro's. So Apex. This is what I was looking at yesterday. I couldn't figure out where the rest of it was founded. So I guess it's called Apex, ahead of the curve. That is fully charged. So I'm seeing engines. So we know this has to do with cars. Um, like the creative use of cropping the images and fitting them inside these frames. I don't know if he actually um, put these outlines, or that you just found an image that came like that, but either way, it looks good. I think it's sharp enough that it looks like maybe he did add it himself. Not sure. Um, Here again, I don't like the text outlines, but then whenever it's really thick like this, it's kind of different. It has a different effect. Um, Although I don't like whenever it's like there's like tiny little white cracks around it. Maybe make it a little bit thicker or round the edges. Which let's see. Let me see what font that is. It's just a regular sans serif on a black outline on a white background. Okay, so let's turn off those guides real quick. Let's say we have some text. Let's change the font to something like this. So it was white text with a black background, black outline. Um, Make that bigger. So yeah, whenever it's like really thick, I think, I mean, if it's gonna be on a white background, it would make sense to have an outline on it, I guess. But then I'll just choose a different uh, fill color. I wouldn't go with the white. Just keep it black. But if you are gonna do that, yeah, making it really thick, I think makes it okay. But check out the different effects you can apply on your stroke in InDesign. So if you're gonna look at, what you could do with this stroke, you should look at the stroke panel. Right, and you'll notice there's cap options. So I guess cap here would not really do anything. Cap is useful if you have a single line segment and you don't want like a flat cutoff right here. You could choose a round cap. But when it comes to corners like this one, if you want to round those, you can also select the text and choose round corners, although I'm not sure why it's not rounding. There we go. I have to highlight the text. So I would round it. I think it would look better that way. And make it really thick. Um, just, but then again, that just might be like individual preference. Also, when you have like situations like this where if you were gonna use this like really big standout text, I would, you know, be messing with the kerning, like the space between each letter. This T, for example, is way too close to the X compared to everything else. So I would, nudge it a little bit. Pay attention to those little details. Let's go back to this. Okay, so yeah, he's been using the thick outlines. I think makes it a little bit better than if it was just really thin. Um, Sponsors are laid out nicely. So this one feels a little bit empty, not much text going on here, but I think you could get away with having a little bit of text. It's just you need to make it bigger. Again, same situation as before. You zoom out, it's really tiny, hard to read, and a lot of wasted space here. So I would take this, make it a lot bigger. This one, I think the font size is a little bit better. I would still make it bigger if I could, and try not to squish things. These are supposed to be circles, right? But they're squished, so. Other than that, I don't know what else to say about that one. The rest of it is good, I guess. And this one is JB, Miss Filipina International, celebrating Filipino empowerment worldwide. So, empowering women, inspiring the world, showcase beauty. So it's like an ad seeking participants, right? Seeking beauties age 15 to 27, at least quarter Filipino heritage. Um, yeah, the flyer looks good. And I don't know if the text is squished again, but that's the only thing I would say fix if it is. But it might just be the font that's like that. I can't tell. But looks really good though. Not too much to complain about there. And then we have the Instagram. Yeah, it works. Maybe text could be a little bit bigger, but consistent styling. I like it. Black and gold. I would say this one's really good. Not too much to complain there. And Ramil. Oh, you used condensed type. Okay. Okay, Ramil. I like this. Good use of empty space. Also, I think it matches the whole museum and classical music. Having it centered, also very balanced. Um, Classical music and museums are a place where there's a lot of calmness and elegance, and I think having a balanced design, symmetrical design, kind of gives you that calming effect. So I think good choice there. Okay, I don't know why you guys always do this, but stop squishing your text. That that's the only problem with this social media post here. It's I would not squish that, and maybe, yeah, definitely make the text bigger. Here is fine because it's a flyer. Well, actually, no, that's a square. This is the flyer. Um, so here it's fine to have the text small, but yeah, these two definitely make the text a little bit bigger because um, again, Instagram, this is gonna be kind of small, so even though this looks great like this, it's gonna be looked at from a little bit further away, a smaller size, so make it a little bit bigger. So the flyer is good. This is great. Just make the text a little bit bigger. Don't squish the text, and make the text a little bit bigger. Everything else really nice, elegant looking, so nice job. Okay, this one's Eric's Los Angeles Auto Show. Convention Center, Sunday, December 28, 2014. Car show. Okay, pretty cool. Let's see. Not sure what this grid is. Is that supposed to be there? Those white lines?
No, I don't know why it has a white line, a grid. I don't know.
Maybe it's just when it got exported that happened. Okay, so with this one, overall looks good. I would push these sponsors up a little bit. A little too close to the bottom. And maybe this one, bring it down a tiny bit. But mainly the sponsors, too close to the bottom. What else? This part. Um, I don't know. I like that you're using like different weights for the text, but maybe a different combination of the weights. Like I don't know if Sunday needs to be thinner than the rest of them, and then um, yeah, cause I don't know, that background has a little bit of white in it, and the thinner Sunday kind of gets lost almost. Also, it feels like I don't know, like here this part looks really like tightly packed, and then this side just feels a little too empty compared to the right side. That's why maybe I wouldn't make that thin and just keep it bold, I guess. Or make that bold and make some of these thinner. I don't know. And not too much to complain there. Um, and also looking at it from here, I know you have this car show up here, but it's so transparent that it just feels unbalanced. I don't know. Maybe it feels like this needs to go up. So just because this is so faded that it looks like it's empty. But if this wasn't so transparent, then it would maybe work better. But I don't know. I just feel like this text is sitting on top of the car, like too close. So give it a little bit of room above the top of the car. Like here, there is some room. Here, there's like no room. Um, and then what else? So this last one, you should make the sponsors a little bit bigger because again, it's gonna be it might be a small ad on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, and these are gonna be really tiny and you can't even read them. So um, and I'll try to find like PNGs so you don't have that ugly white background on the logo, or put it against a white background so you can't see it. Okay, Ralph, Overwatch version 2 updates. Okay, so it's like a, this is, was this assignment 3? Yeah, assignment 3. Okay, so jumping back to assignment 3, different assignments, so it looks a little bit different. This is a 5-page article about Overwatch. Um, Cover page looks fine. Definitely using a grid, you can tell, right? We have our one, two, three, four columns, and I'm not sure how many rows, but definitely a grid there that's making this look really good. Nice use of the grid again here. Some empty space. Very nice. The text here is a little bit light and hard to read and centered. If it's long text, again, don't center it, even though that makes the design look cool and everything, but it should be left aligned. And also, the weight of this text compared to this text, it's obviously much lighter. I would keep it the same. Right, so same weight as this, left align, but overall looks really good. And here, um, here and here, I guess give it a little bit more padding around the text too, so it's a little too close to the edges. And I don't know if this shadow is necessary. If you really want the shadow, make it much more transparent. I think it's too heavy, but overall looks great. And push that game modes down a little bit. Maybe you meant to put some stuff here, but if you didn't, you could put that in the middle. If you were gonna have some stuff here, just push this down a little bit. And I don't know, I guess maybe something else here. Okay. And another assignment 3. We haven't seen yet, I think. Used cosmetics. Okay. Not much to say on the cover. It looks good. Next spread. Lorem Ipsum lipstick. I like the use of these squares. Very nice. So light background, dark text. Say, yeah, I really have nothing to say. It's good. Perfect. This one too. Okay. Well, congrats. I have nothing to say. It's really good. Nice job. Very good. That's all I downloaded so far that I noticed that was new. So if you guys submitted something that I haven't seen yet, let me know. We could look at it. If not, let's check out lesson 7. And this is our last lecture, so um, lesson 7 goes over, I think, tabbing and special characters and stuff. So let's go to class resources, lesson files. Let's get lesson 7, which I have open right here. 7 start. Didn't download. Oh. Okay, so I'm gonna open the start file and the end file so we could see what we're doing. Why isn't it opening? There we go. Okay, it took forever. Let's see. Fonts are currently unavailable. Caslon Pro, Adobe. Um, Let me replace them or enable them if I can. It's not bringing up the option to turn them on, although they should be available. They're Adobe fonts, Adobe Caslon Pro. So, let me see. Maybe if I give it some time to load, it's probably just. I think sometimes it needs to connect to Adobe website, so it recognizes that the fonts are available. Oh, and it's doing that slow loading thing. Have to give it some time to um, respond. I don't know why it does that. Skip. See, I opened it like 3 or 4 times, so I have to wait for all of these. Anyways, while I'm waiting, you guys download it too and open it up. Um, so to enable fonts, you can go to Manage Fonts in Adobe Creative Cloud and then search for whatever you're missing. So I need Adobe Caslon Pro Bold and actually this isn't the right place to search. Add fonts to Creative Cloud. There we go. Oh, sorry. This is if you want to add a custom font, not this one. We need to go browse more fonts. Let me type in the name Caslon. Adobe Caslon. Oh. Um, I already have this enabled, but I guess the other ones are just not available. Yeah, okay, that's weird. Alright, well, we'll just ignore that, use a different font, but we definitely need to use Adobe Caslon Pro for something, like for some of the special characters. Because, so there are some alternate characters you can use, like for example, S here. If you want like a fancier S, you can check if you go to type glyphs, depending on what font you have selected, you'll have a bunch of different glyphs available, and you also have alternates for selection. So say I have this S selected, go to type glyphs, choose alternates for selection. There are none, but that's because of the font I'm using here. Um, Bold italic is missing, so it's not really giving me alternatives. But if I click semi-bold italic, then you can see here we have some alternates that we can choose. We can choose this S or this S, but they're available only for Adobe Caslon Pro. Right, so every font will have its own unique characters like that. So this is what Adobe Caslon Pro. Again, bold, I'm missing it, so I have to switch to one that's available. And the only one I have is semi-bold italic for some reason. I couldn't find it on Adobe to activate it. So maybe you guys have it. Let me know if your computer, your Adobe has these other fonts. I don't know if they're supposed to be missing. I feel like I had them before. Activate Adobe fonts instantly. So maybe it was not connected. That's why it's having trouble. So it says initializing. Maybe if I wait, it'll find the fonts that I'm missing. Um, but let's compare these real quick. So this is the start file. This is the end file. Let me arrange them side by side so you can see what changes we're gonna need to make. Control 0 to fit the page. Control 0. Make sure we're looking at the same page. Whatever changes I made here, let me undo. Alright, so we're gonna get that annoying pink box around some of the text here that just tells you that the font is missing. Um, and it looks like it's still initializing. I don't know if it's my internet just being slow, but it definitely should be available. Adobe Caslon Pro Bold. And anything else that's missing should be available. It's just, I don't know, something's wrong with my Adobe. So I'll have to replace them with something when the time comes. I can't even get a preview of what it's supposed to look like. So we get that annoying pink box. But if you look here, it's gonna end up looking like this. So the main thing is this right here, adding tabs. So we'll be working with the tabs panel, which you can bring up if you go to type tabs. So that can be really useful, especially when you're working on like restaurant menus or anywhere that you're gonna use tabs like this. Um, the tabs panel is gonna be something you want to get used to. Looking at the next page, here we're gonna look at again adding special characters like the instead of 1/2 like this, we'll see how to add 1/2 special symbol, because this is just a single character. It's not like two different things, it's just one thing here. Um, and we'll look at aligning stuff to, I believe this is lined up to um, let me check. Let's go into preview mode, press W, and then go to view, extras, oh no, it's under grids and guides, show baseline grid. View, grids and guides, show baseline grid. I guess, never mind, they're not using a baseline grid here. I thought they were. So instead, probably just need to um, change the font and increase the uh, leading. Or sorry, not is this leading? Yeah, leading. All right. Next page. No, no, it's just that one. There's no other page. Okay, so let me open the textbook so I know, so I don't miss anything. Because just looking at it like this, we'll look at the textbook afterwards. Let's try to get as much done without the textbook. I'm gonna look at consolidate all to Windows, so see this in full screen. Let's start with this part right here, using the tabs. Okay, because this will come up often. Say you're creating some kind of restaurant menu. You have your text here. Um, let's say, I don't know, you have prices, burger, $5, fries, 250, drink, no, 150. Right, so if you wanted to get that effect that you see in the end file, the first thing you might think is just put a bunch of dots, but that's not the right way to do it. Because that's kind of annoying, right? And also it would take forever to fix it or update it to something different. Like what if you don't want to put dots? Maybe you want to put dashes instead, or maybe you want to put um like a bigger period, not a small period, but maybe you want to put a special character like this type of period. Or as you can see, there's like, if you right click on it, it gives you options. Yeah, I guess not anymore. What happened to my options? Okay, there you can see all these different special characters or alternatives. These are again glyphs. So if you go to type glyphs, you'll see alternates for selection. Right, double clicking on it will replace it with the alternate. Right, you could also choose entire font if you want to see every glyph that's available for that font. And let's say you want, there should be like a bigger period somewhere. Kind of have to dig through it. Or we could use something like this. Right, but you don't want to have to copy paste it each time you want to use it, right? That'll be annoying. So what you could do is use tabs. So you'll find your tab button useful for this. So when you press tab, it adds a certain amount of space. And if you turn on view extras and turn on special characters, I guess it was under type, show hidden characters. Okay, so remember, hidden characters are things like spaces and pressing return to add the paragraph symbol, but also tab. Tab has its own special character, which is these double arrows. Okay, so if I press tab here and here, now you'll notice that all the tabs kind of line up at the same place. If I press, doesn't matter how many tabs, actually it does matter. If you put two tabs, you'll see each tab is about the same amount of space, and it's a lot bigger space than just pressing the space bar. But you can also control how far you want the tab to go. You do that with the type tabs panel. Ooh, I don't know why it's so long. It's super long. Let me make that shorter. Okay, so when you first open it, you'll notice it lines up right above your text. Um, I have two monitors open, and I don't know why this is like going all the way across to the other monitor. That's weird. Type tabs. Alright, I'll just have to ignore that. Actually, this time it's not that bad. So you could see it lines up right above my text, and it places this ruler right above it too. So it kind of helps you line things up. You'll see that there's like these different buttons up here, and then you'll see this thing here and this thing here. So one of these is the first line indent. One of these is every other line. So kind of hard to tell with a single line, but um, there's also one for tabs. If you just click right here, this is for tabs. So wherever I move this, this is where my tab will line up. As you can see, if I drag this way, my tabs spread out and they get pushed all the way to where this is. And it also depends on what you have selected. So if I select this line and I move this, that one tab will be different than the other tabs. Right, so if you select all three lines, then you'll notice there's three of those tabs, but you could just drag them down, so leave it just with one, and then I could line these up however I want. And then over here you'll see leader. This is where you could put like a period if you want a period between all of these, or if you want a number 5 between all of them, you could put the number 5. But this is useful for that, so you don't have to type a period a million times. You could just put it here as the leader. And if you want another special character instead of a period, um, that actually might not be available. Let me try. So remember there was the alternate characters. If we look at entire font, let's just grab a special character like this spade or whatever this is. And then let me close my glyphs. So we have this special character. Copy, see if we could paste it in here. Yeah, unfortunately it doesn't, the leader doesn't take in some of these special characters. It's one issue that there is here. If I try to paste it here, it just pastes this big circle or period instead of what I want.
Can you somehow add it?
Not that I know of. But press tab there, tab, tab. Make sure all my tabs are the same. There we go. No, it's replacing it with this instead of this. Not sure why that is, but maybe a quick Google will tell us. InDesign, use special character as tab leader. Tab leaders can be dots, dashes, underscores, and even decorative glyphs from fonts other than those used in surrounding text. Really? Then how do you how do you do it? It says we can do it. Uh, maybe not. It's just saying you could put spaces if you want, but if you wanted like um, let's say I put a period, you don't want them to be that close together. You could also put space, period, to have them further apart, or let's try space, 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 period. You could have them really far apart. But yeah, I don't think you can put in these special characters. I mean, copy paste would be the simplest way to put it, but when I do copy paste, it gets replaced with this. Uh, Maybe it's because of the font. Okay, so this is Minion Pro, this is also Minion Pro. So no, it's the same font. Um, Type glyphs. And this is a Minion Pro glyph, so it should let me do it, but I don't know. I'll have to like research that outside of class because I'm not sure if there's a way to put that as a leader in your glyphs. And why isn't it updating? Okay, sometimes you have to move it so it updates. And also press return. Anyways, let's look at the other options that you have here. So also when you're creating a list, this will become an issue sometimes. Say we have a list, let's say, I don't know, it's a shopping list, like trying to think a good example what to put here. Let me just fill it with placeholder text. So say we have, I don't know, some sort of bullet points. Let me select all of this and let's go to the paragraph panel window, type in text, paragraph. In the paragraph panel, let's close this for now. If you go to the paragraph options, you could go to bullets and numbering, and you could choose bullets, turn on preview, and let's just click OK. But if you notice in the bullets and numbering, there's alignment left, left indent, first line indent, tab position. So left indent, first line indent, tab position, those are visible in type tabs. So the tab is this is the tab. And then one of these is the first line indent, and one of these little arrows is the left indent. So I've got a tab here. Let's get rid of the tab, and let's copy paste this a couple times so we have more. Maybe delete a couple lines. Okay, so a lot of times you create a list like this, and you don't want the text to be, you know, this, I don't want the next line to start here. I want the next line to start where the other one is, right? But there's no way to really do it unless you press enter, it adds another bullet, then it lines up. But what if you don't want a new bullet point? You just want this to line up nicely here. That's when you would use, not that one, I guess the bottom one. So you drag the bottom little arrow here to where you want the next line to go, but then you have to drag this one back. It's kind of weird, it's not very intuitive, but the top one will move the bullet back, and the bottom one will move the second line indent. But then you won't be able to move it back like this. See, it gets stuck here. I can't move it back anymore. So if I did want to decrease this space, like bring it back a little bit more, I'd have to bring this a little bit forward, and then I could move it back. It's kind of weird, but that's how it works. Also, if you want to see the actual numbers for these, I mean, you could type it right here, but you could also see it right here. So it's left indent, and what is it? First line left indent. And if I try to decrease this, it doesn't let me. It says invalid indent value, indents cannot be extend outside of text frame. So it's gonna say that if you try to decrease this without first bringing this forward. I don't know. It's, you have to mess around with it to kind of get the hang of it. I think, I mean, now that you kind of have an idea of that, let's see if we could fix this to make it look like this. So both of those concepts will be needed to fix this one. Let me put it side by side if I can. Window arrange to up vertical. So we want this to look like this. So before I show you, see if you could figure it out. Again, we're gonna need tabs. It might help if you turn on view or type and then show hidden characters, because then you'll see the hidden characters on the end file. You know that you'll see that there's a tab here, and here, and here. So you know that you definitely need to put a tab between these. And if you need to see them, again, type show hidden characters. The tabs are already there actually, so you don't have to add them yourself. They already put tabs there, so all you need to do is select all the text that you're gonna add tabs to. So this line, and this line, well, all of these, I guess. And you're gonna have to open type tabs. Once you do, it'll pop up above your text, and you need to click anywhere to add one tab. Careful you don't add too many tabs, because then it gets confusing. If you have more than one tab here, just pull it down to get rid of it. Again, it affects whatever line you have highlighted, so don't accidentally deselect and then select just one line, because then you're going to be adding a tab just for that one line. Make sure the whole thing is selected. Then add your tab and then move it forward roughly where they have it on the end file. It's about 5p. If you want to know exactly how far it is, just go to the end file, click in there, and then type tabs. You'll see that, where is it? It's at 5p5, it looks like. So this should be at 5p5. But then you also need to put put a period there, and then put a space in front of the period and press enter, so that you have them a little bit further apart. Then we also need to take care of this right here. We don't want this line to be all the way here, we want it to go forward. So we need to drag the, well, we either drag it or we could use the control panel up here, but we have to move this all the way forward and move this one back. Kind of easier if we use the tabs though after. So use that just to get these to show here, and then you're gonna have to pull. Yeah, I think this goes also to 5p5. 5p5, and then this one goes to 0. Negative 5p5. And also this one. So negative 5p5 for so you can't put negative here until you put this one. So first put the left indent at 5p5, then you could put the first line left indent to negative 5p5. I don't know why it doesn't let you do it separately. I mean, it doesn't let you move this one before you move this one forward. Kind of weird, really hard to explain, but you just have to try it. Anyways, I'll give you guys some time to fix that one. Again, challenge is to put the periods there without manually typing a period and a space. Fix your tabs so they line up nicely. Remember to highlight what you're trying to affect, and don't add too many tabs accidentally. Also, it's break time, so let's take a break. We'll come back and look at the rest of this. In the meantime, I'm going to see if there's a way to add special characters as tab leaders. Alright, let's continue. So, trying to do research into how to use special characters as the tab leaders, but I still haven't figured it out. I don't know if it's possible. Anyways, this is probably the toughest part of this whole lesson, figuring out how to use these tabs. Because again, it's not very intuitive. Type tabs. Let me just do it one more time. So let's get rid of, no, just press Ctrl Z, undo everything. Okay, so back to the way it was. Alright, so you have these tabs already. Someone has pressed the tab button here between all of these. So to line them up, you just need to select all of them. Open up type tabs and click to add a tab and drag it all the way however far you want to line them up. Add a space before this, put a period and a space before the period and press return to get these spaced apart periods between as the leader. To fix this hanging indent, you need to drag this top bar to the left. Actually, the opposite, sure. Top bar to the right, bottom bar to the left. Wait, no. I was right the first time. This one to the left, this one. Actually, set this one first where we want it to be. We know it's going to be at 5p5, so just put it there. Then we can drag this far back. Okay. This tab should also be at 5p5. And that fixes it. Let's do view, window, range, consolidate. Okay, let me get this back to full screen. But practice with like creating some kind of menu. So so you get the hang of it. You could also change it from here. Set this to 5p5 and this one to negative 5p5. So once again, deleted all of it so I could show you one more time. Add a tab. I'll move this a little bit past 5p5 because actually no, if I do that then yeah, okay, I'll move it to 6p0. 6p0 for the tab. Make sure there's only one tab. And then for these, I'm gonna type either here, or by dragging this. Oops, dragging. It's really tiny, so it's hard to click on. That's why it's probably easier to just type it here or here. But we want to drag it to 5p5 or about where the tab is, and then you could drag the top one back. And while you're doing that, you'll notice this is going down. So negative 5p5 for that one, and 5p5 for that one, and select the tab, 5p5 for that one as well, to get them all lined up right there. And not sure if this is supposed to be all the way down here. I might have moved something because I feel like it's too far. I've run out of space here. It should be like that. I might have shrunk the box or something. I don't know. Let's do file revert to go back to the way it was originally. Uh, Never mind, I can't do file revert. Let me just close it and open it again. 7, start. Okay. So again, select all of this and add our tab. Move this one back. get this one to where it's supposed to be. I thought it was 5p5, but let me try 5p5. Yeah, it is. Okay, so I guess that's what it's supposed to look like. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no overset text this time. Alright, let's look at adding these special characters. So again, it's gonna be in type glyphs. So if you look through the glyphs, you'll find like fractions here somewhere. If you're having trouble finding them, click here and filter math symbols. Actually, not math symbols. Maybe it's under maybe numbers. Yeah, okay, it's under numbers. You'll find quarter and half. So, and a 3/4. So the ones that we need. So select this, double click this to replace it, select this, double click to replace it, select that one, double click a quarter, select that one, double click 3/4, and replace those with the fractions. I still have spell check dynamic spelling turned on. I'm going to turn that off. I turned it on in the previous lesson and I never turned it off, so I have to go to edit spelling, turn off dynamic spelling. So those go away. Right, so this is what 3-column box. If you select this, you'll notice if we look at the paragraph panel, which I don't have open right now, let me go here to my custom layout and reset it. In the paragraph panel, maybe it's in the object panel, but yeah, I don't see it here. Maybe under options. Okay, where's the object panel? Window, object and layout, or already. Okay, it's because I shrunk, I made all my icons bigger. Normally the button is up here somewhere. I have to go into object text frame options. And here we could choose the number of columns, but it's already set to 3. But it's not really balanced. Like we have the title Caesar salad up here, but then we have this text flowing over here, and then this here, so it doesn't look good. It doesn't look balanced. If you look at the end file, it's more balanced. It's more filled up down here. And if we go into object text frame options, we might get a hint to how they did that. Under column rules, auto size, oh no, we have this right here, try it at home. Okay, so that's what we forgot to add. We need to add that title up here that says try it at home. But how do you add a title going across all three columns? Well, we just need to add right before Caesar salad, type try it at home. Right, I think there's a paragraph style for it. Under heads, recipe box headline. Yeah, so recipe box headline is the style for that one. It will make it all caps, I guess, and black. But we also need it to span across the 3 columns, which right now it's not. So you can either double click on the recipe box headline and go into the text options here and look for should be under span columns, and right now it's paragraph layout single column, but we need to change that to span columns. Span all columns, click OK, and it goes to the middle. As for the rest of it, let me see what they did. I guess we just need to click the button to balance the columns, which is this one. Oh, no, it's aligned to baseline grid, never mind. Not that one. But we do need to align something to the baseline grid here. I think the body text on the end file, it is aligned to the baseline grid. If you go to view grids and guides, show, oh, it's already supposed to be showing. Screen mode, normal. Oh, there, okay, you have to zoom in really close to see the baseline grid. It doesn't show from far, but that's because of the preferences. If you go to edit preferences, just click general and try to find it. It's under grids, baseline grid, view threshold 100%. So this means you're only going to see the baseline grid if you're zoomed in to 100%. So right now I'm at 66%, so I can't see it. But as soon as I zoom to 100%, the baseline grid will show. So baseline grid is these blue lines here. You can line up your text to it, and in this case in the end file the text is lined up to it. You can also adjust your baseline grid, so if you go to edit preferences, general, or under grids, you can see here it starts at 6p0 and relative to top of page, increment every 14 points. Look at the start file, zoom in close, go to view grids and guides, show baseline grid if it's not already, and edit preferences, grids. We see this one starts different. The other one started at 6p0, this one starts at 3p. This one is increment every 12 points. The other one was increment every 14 points. The reason why we should change it to 14 instead of 12 is because if you highlight some of this paragraph text here and you look at the paragraph options or the character options, you'll notice that the leading is set to 14 points, not 12. So it's already at 14 points, meaning the lines are 14 points apart from each other. So if you are going to end up using the baseline grid to line up your text, you should probably make that baseline grid match your leading that you already have on the paragraph. So to make the text sit on the baseline grid, you just need to select it and then go to your paragraph options. and then click this button here. It's on the bottom right corner. That lines it up to the baseline grid. Now it's kind of skipping one line. I think that's because our baseline grid starts too high. Remember, it starts at 3p0. It's supposed to start at 6p0. So let's go to Edit, Preferences, General, and change that. Or other grids, change that to first increment every 14 points, and then also set this to 6p0 and click OK. Alright, now it sits nicely on the grid. This one also, since I think, yeah, because I had selected all the text. You could also save that in whatever paragraph style that was applied to it. Body, text, indent. You could right click on that and redefine it so that it doesn't show the plus sign anymore. Now it'll just be normal for whatever has that body style applied to it, whatever has this paragraph style, will line up to the baseline grid since that's part of the options now. If you double click on the style, look at not sure where it would be under. Let's see, bullets and numbering, drop caps, span, justification, indents and spacing probably. Yeah. Align to grid, all lines. I believe that's the baseline grid. If I say none, click OK. Nothing changed really. Not sure if this is the baseline grid or a different grid that it's referring to, but I don't see any baseline here. It must be that. But anyways, redefine the style so that in case you didn't apply it to these, since they are using that same style, let me undo it so you can see what I mean. Say go back to before lining it up to the baseline grid. Okay, so alright, so here it's not really lined up to the baseline grid anymore. But this is a paragraph that happens to have body text indent. So if I select this little bit of the paragraph or just click anywhere inside and I go to the paragraph panel, where did it go? Window, type paragraph, turn on align to baseline grid, and now that I modified it, there's a little plus sign next to the style. Right click on it, redefine it. Now everything else will try to line up to the baseline grid. And of course, it's not lining up perfectly because, again, the leading on the paragraph doesn't match the baseline grid. So again, go to Preferences, Grids, and then change the baseline grid to start at 6 and increment every 14, and it'll sit nicely there. Okay. Alright, so this paragraph, I was trying to balance it like this one, but what are we missing here? So this one ends at add the chopped, but this one extends past add the chopped. It goes all the way down to anchovies, stir the egg. So it's the way it's balancing is a little bit different. And it's not because the box is different size. the box is still the same size. So that's not what's causing it to like line up differently. Instead, we need to go into the paragraph panel again. Let me line this up here so it just stays there. And let's see. Let's go to balanced rag lines. And what else? Justification, no. Paragraph borders. Let's see. Forgot how they did this one. It was a weird one. It's one of those features that you never really use or even notice exists. It's one of these buttons. It looks just like the button to line up to the baseline grid, but it was somewhere else up here. Let me. It should be in the control panel. That's where I know. That's where I'm used to clicking on it. It should show up whenever you select the text frame. But again, since I made my control panel, since I made my user interface bigger than it's normally, it doesn't fit here anymore, so I don't know where it moved to. So I have to go back to my preferences and shrink it back down. So let's go to interface and user interface scaling. I'm gonna bring it back down to normal. Small, click OK. Oh, and I have to restart for the changes to take effect, unfortunately. Let me try just making my box, my window bigger. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so if I make my window bigger, it shows up. There it is. This is what I'm looking for. Balance columns. I'm not sure where it's normally supposed to be though. Like if you have a small window, or small monitor, it's just never gonna show up in your control panel. So you have to figure out where else to find it. I'm guessing since it shows up whenever I select the text frame, it would be under object text frame options, but I don't see it here. Yeah, it's not here, so I don't know where else you would find it, but if you just make your window big, you'll see it whenever you select the text frame. Yeah, so again, it looks like this. Balanced columns. Normally it's unbalanced. This balances it. Maybe it's under here. I don't know. Anyways, not important. Um, I think everyone should be able to find this in the control panel though. If you guys figure out which panel that option is, let me know. It's not under paragraph, it's not under object text frame options, so I don't know where else we would find it. And paragraph panel has align to baseline grid. The only other panel we might check is the object panel, but of object styles. Text frame, no. Anyways, let's move on. Okay. Because the book only specifies that right there from the control panel, so maybe there's no other way to do it. Okay, so moving on to this, we need to stretch this so it fits from top to bottom. So for that we could increase the leading to 30 points and also justify the text, I think. And change the font. Well, the font is supposed to be Adobe Caslon Pro bold italic, but I don't have that font. Again, my Adobe fonts library is not loading, so I could update it. So I have to just use an alternate font. I'll just keep it on semi bold italic. Alright, so semi bold italic, and we have this nice looking letter M here, but in here, if we change this to Adobe Caslon Pro, semi bold italic, the M looks different. Right, so again, this is kind of what I showed you in the beginning. It's a special alternate version of the M, which you could find if you highlight the text in the newer version of Adobe, but older one you might have to go to type glyphs to find it, and then choose alternates for selection, and you'll see the special M there. Double click it to add that, and then this would be nice if this was actually lined up nicely like this one. The quote would have to go a little bit outside of the box. Right now there's really no more space. I can't like press backspace because that will delete the quote. So how do you get this to go back a little bit more? I mean, you could add a space and then use the Alt button to like drag it this way, but then it'll go over the quote. So this is again one of those things that will probably never come up, but here, let's maybe add a space in front of the quote, and then press the Alt button and left arrow and bring it back this way. You could force it like this. Basically what I'm doing is I'm adding whatchamacallit, I'm changing the kerning, or the kerning value, so I'm basically decreasing it, but you have to put a space. Without putting a space, it won't work. So you first have to add a space, then you can press the Alt button and then press the left arrow and then bring it back like this. But if you delete that space, it jumps back to where it was. It's kind of weird. But the way the book does it, though, again, it's a way that really hard to remember. But if you go to a window and open story, where is it at? Window, type in tables, story. There's this weird option here. It's optical margin alignment. If you turn that on, then it'll automatically do that for you. And then what happened to this? To increase it more. $14 points, 30 points. Okay, this should be 30 as well. And the font size needs to be bumped up to 14. There we go. Now it looks the same. Alright, few more little details. This little text here, Kelly Cords, editor of Colorado Expression Magazine. On the start file, it's not lined up like that. Well, we could turn off the baseline grid because we're not lining anything else up to the baseline grid. So it's kind of confusing by seeing that those blue lines. So I'm going to go to View Grids, Guides, and Hide Baseline Grid. Here too. I'll just go to Preview mode to hide it. But this is going to be right aligned, and there's a line above it. But that line above it is not like a line that someone drew like this. It's a paragraph rule. So there's a way to add those through the paragraph panel. A line above any paragraph, and you could include that as like a paragraph style. So if, for example, this is under body text author bio, let's see if there's, well, there's no other author bios around here, but let's say this was author bio, this paragraph right here. Apply author bio to it. We could make it include that paragraph rule above it if we include that as part of the paragraph style. So right now it's not really part of it, that's why there's a plus sign here. But if I right click and redefine the style, so you might have to edit it. It doesn't let me redefine it. Maybe because it's a paragraph style combined with the character style. I don't know. It's not letting me redefine the style, but if it's a paragraph feature, like a paragraph rule, you should be able to apply it to your paragraph styles. So we'll do it on this one. Author bio is still there, but it's not lined up to the right. So let's select author bio, apply it to this, but force it to change to apply to the right side. And let's also add the paragraph rule. So to add the paragraph rule, go to the paragraph options, window paragraph, window type and tables paragraph, and then click this button here to go to the options. Look for paragraph rules. You'll be able to turn on a paragraph rule. Turn on preview so you can kind of see where it is. It's gonna be overlapping the text, so we're gonna have to offset it. So rule is on and it's above. There's an offset button. Just need to increase that so that it's on top of the text. I think 0p, I don't know what they have it in the book, but I'll put 0p9 and change the color to this gold color and then click OK. Alright, so now this paragraph has a paragraph rule above it. It's aligned to the right side. Let me see if we could redefine it here. Still no, I don't know why it's not letting me redefine the style. Normally there's a option to redefine the style, so whatever changes I made to it applies to the style. But maybe it's let's see, create new style. Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't let me apply. We can edit. I guess we could just edit it directly. Go to edit style, and then you'll find the same options here. So under paragraph style options, if you look at this, there's paragraph rules. There it is. A rule above. This color. Offset 0p9. Same thing I did from the paragraph panel. And then also basic character formats, or maybe not basic. Justification. No, never mind. Where's the right align? Alignment, there it is. Okay, alignment right. And then click OK. Now that'll be part of the actual paragraph style. If I click, right click on it or click this button to clear overrides, it will reset whatever else I've overridden, which I guess was the font. Here it's using one of those fonts that I don't have available, that's why it's pink. Myriad Pro Light, so let me just change it to Myriad Pro Regular. And okay, now okay, that's weird. The redefined style shows up whenever you change the font, but I guess it doesn't want to automatically redefine it when you do things like paragraph rules and right alignment. But now that that's part of that paragraph style, I could just select any other paragraph and then go to my paragraph style and click on, where was it, author bio, and we get the same effect. Right, so try it with this one, author bio. You get the line on top right aligned, smaller text. Okay, I don't know what else there is to cover on this lesson. So we have glyphs. Oh, the F we forgot. Make this also a special character. Looks nice. Oh, and then we need to add, where was it? I know they added it somewhere. Huh. Okay. Well, I don't know where there's supposed to be a little decorative glyph somewhere, but I don't see it. Maybe it's because I don't have those fonts that the glyph was using. But one other thing I noticed, the S, we need to make that drop cap. So drop caps are paragraph options. If you go to paragraph options or paragraph panel, either way, either through the paragraph panel or from the control panel under paragraph formatting, if you want to add a drop cap, that's when the first letter of the paragraph is a few lines tall. Select, well, you don't have to select the S because it applies to the whole paragraph. So whatever the first letter of the paragraph is going to be a drop cap. So I could click anywhere in this paragraph, and then you'll notice the drop cap option right here. So let's make that 3, right? 3, and then change the fill color. Let's go to our swatches. I think it's this pink color. Yeah, it's the pink color, but looks like they tinted it though. It's the pink color with a 30% tint. So pink color, tint 30%. You can tint any swatch you click on should have a tint option on top. A tint is just the same color mixed with white. Also, it needs a green outline. So let's highlight it. Click on the, instead of the character fill, you could click in your, here, let me see if it shows better this way. Click on the stroke, so whatever's the second box, and then from there we can apply another swatch, the green color, as the outline, and tint that one too. I think that one is 50%. Right. What else? Also, there's a lot of space after the S here. There's a lot more padding right here. How do we add that? Let's see. Nope. Okay. Um, Along with drop cap, you can also choose how many of the first letters you want to include in the drop cap. but we're not changing that. Let me bring that back to 0 or 1. This space after that, I forgot how to add that. I don't even know if that's how do they do that? Is it a paragraph option? Let's go to paragraph styles. How about just paragraph? It's not here, so again, maybe it's in the text frame options. No idea. Let's just leave it at that. Nothing else. I don't think. I think everything else is covered. Let me just quickly look through. What are we missing? Oh yeah, I'm noticing a few more things like this here. The goals is green. This text seems to be lined up different. Let me. Why is that different? Oh, maybe it's the baseline grid. View. Show baseline grid. View. Show baseline grid. Nope. Maybe it's just space before. So paragraphs can have space before. So if you don't want the next paragraph to start right below the last one, you could add some space before. This one has 0p6 space before. So we should put this one at 0p6 as well. And doesn't seem to be lining up to the baseline grid, so let me bring that back. There we go. Oh, the whole thing. Alright, I think that was it. So it was just not lined up to the baseline grid. And yeah, I guess a few more things. It's nothing important though. We could skip that. But I think we covered most of the things this lesson wanted us to cover. Let me fix the errors here too. There's pre-flight errors. Always check your pre-flight before you finish up and save or export something. Now there's overset text. That's one issue. We have overset text here, it looks like. Let me make that bigger. Okay, the PM was missing, so make that box a little bit bigger or decrease the tabs. So instead of starting all the way there, bring it back a little bit. Oops. Let's say 5p. 5p and 5p, and then this set to negative 5p. That way, still not quite enough room. The PM still doesn't fit. Which is weird because this one is 5p5. I don't know why this one, putting it to the same settings, looks different. And their box is even smaller too. Is it the font size? Mm, 14. 14, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Just make the box a little bit bigger so it fits. Or decrease the font size, or decrease the tab space. Anyways, if we had more time, I would give you an assignment to create like a restaurant menu and try to make use of tabs and indents. But you already have your final assignment, so just end it there. Instead, just use this time to work on your final project. So I added a little bit more detail on what I want for this. If you look at the assignment instructions on Google Classroom, how do we get to Google Classroom? I got signed out. But you have your brand guide and your fonts and your colors. I also added you should include some guest speakers. You could make up the names. Yeah, it's just the final project is your only final. There's no final exam. Okay, here we go. Google is making me jump through some hoops to verify. I don't know why, I was just signed in a second ago. Okay, so I included the sizes 1200 by 628, 1080 by 1080, 612 by 792. event name, LAPC Pro Summit. Feel free to come up with a better name if you want. But we have a date and a time. Body copy to include. Join us for an evening of exciting networking opportunities, inspirational speeches, and exciting news in the world of design and technology. So that's the little bit of text that needs to be included, at least on the um, 1200 by 628. So wait, what size is that? 1200 by 628. That's never mind. I didn't include a flyer on this one, did I? I might have forgotten. Oh, this is the flyer size actually, 612 by 792. So file new document. So 8.5 by 11 inches. Remember, is 612 by 792 pixels. So that's the flyer size. So for the flyer, you want to include as much text as you can. For the Facebook and social media ads, you could maybe leave that out if you don't have room for it, but make sure you keep the important stuff for all of them. So the date and the location and the title and everything, and also the guest speakers maybe. You could try to fit those all, but body copy is one that's optional if it doesn't fit. So I just put man with glasses and smiling businessman because those are the photos that I included that you can use. You can find your own pictures if you want, but I included those so you don't have to do too much work finding a picture and using it. But you might want to look for your own photos to use. And let me go over, since we have like 20 minutes, how you might fit these guys if they weren't PNGs like this one and this one. So these have clear backgrounds, so they're easy to place wherever you need and use them like this with the like background elements. But if you didn't have that and you just picked something random from, let's say, pexels.com, let's type in, I don't know, businessman. No, there's that guy. So maybe you wanted to use your own photos. If you find something with a white background, it should be easy to isolate without doing too much work yourself. Let me see if I could find one with a white background. I wonder if I could use this one because there's a good amount of contrast between the guy and the background. I don't know if um, InDesign will be able to detect the edges and do that for me. Let's go to Object and then where would it be? Clipping path options, detect edges. Yeah, it doesn't work as well without a pure white background. As you can see, it's not really cutting them out perfectly. There's some stuff in the background that's also getting cut out. But if you found one with pure white or black background, it would work better. But I don't know if you could find those as on Pexels or Unsplash. Since these are free stock images, maybe if I type white background model, Even okay, closest one is this one, but we're not gonna use that obviously because it has nothing to do with the professional work summit. Um, let's try Unsplash. Businessman, white background. Okay, well this is the closest you're gonna find, but it's not really a useful picture though. But just as an example, let me copy paste it so I could show you. These work a little bit more easily. You can do object, clipping path options, detect edges, and as you can see, it cuts it out pretty nicely. Maybe a little, maybe not that good. So try to use as little threshold and tolerance as possible, because when it's a little too high, it starts cutting into like his neck and stuff. So let's see, just that 3, let's say. Click OK. Not gonna be perfect though, not as nice as cutting it out yourself in Photoshop. And it still didn't like get rid of this corner right here. It's still like this shoulder has all this white on it. So it's not gonna work unless you have a pure white background. So even this is not pure white. There's like a little bit of gray, it doesn't work. So the other thing you can do is manually try to cut them out. So say, here, let's just do businessman. Let's take this guy, smiling. Could use this one. Copy, paste. So if you don't have Photoshop and you want to do this in InDesign, you can use the pen tool to trace around the guy. Might help if you view things in high quality. But you could use the pen tool to draw a path around an object. Normally, again, you'd probably want to do this in Photoshop, but it's also possible right here. If you're good with the pen tool, you could, trace around your model nicely. See how long it takes me to do it. And this takes practice, so probably won't do it as quickly as I'm doing it right now, but I mean, if you just use more points, maybe take a little bit longer than I am, you'd probably get a better result than if you tried to use the built-in features to trace it for you. Even in Photoshop has like options to cut stuff out of the background for you, but it always leaves a little bit of some, I don't know, it's never as good as if you do it yourself using the pen tool. Nothing beats doing it yourself. Even with all the advanced like AI tools that Photoshop has now, I noticed it's still not good enough. Okay, almost done. Alright, cool. So we have an outline of the guy. Now all we have to do is take the picture and cut it out. Select that outline and say paste into. And there you go. And you could get rid of the black outline, or maybe not. Maybe make use of that black outline. Make it white maybe. And line it up on the outside instead of the inside. And throw a nice background on this. Let's take that yellow color. I know it's not part of the brand colors. So maybe I'll use this blue color. Oops. Oh, by the way, holding the shift button before using the eyedropper lets you pick up colors from... Actually, never mind, you don't need to do that. In Photoshop, or I forgot which one it was you needed to do that, but I think it was Photoshop. No, not Photoshop, Illustrator. You'd have to hold shift to be able to pick up colors from like a photo. The reason why I'm not able to pick this up is because of this text box here. What is this even doing here? Just delete that. There we go. Okay, so I want this to be this color, but not completely dark like that. I'll use a light tint of it. So open up swatches, select that color and change the tint to maybe 30%. And this is optional, you don't have to have that white outline. Turn that off if you want. But looks pretty clean. Again, depends how good you can trace it. And if this was going to be like a 2-page spread, even though that's not one of the required sizes I put, there's no 2-page spread option. Unlock this guy. That would be a nice place to place them probably. Actually no, you have the landscape size. You might want to do something like this for the 1200 by 628 size. It'd be about this shape. Do something like this and turn on text wrap. Shrink this down a little bit. So that it fits. Take this text and use the alignment tools. Where is it? Line right, and also text align right. So I'm not even doing anything, I'm just making a brand guideline. But it looks good just because everything is nice and cut out and there's random shapes everywhere. It just looks good. Um, might even look better if I had a grid that I was following. So let's create guides. I'll create as many as I need to line this up nicely. Let's do 6 by 4. Uh, maybe 8 by 6. And yeah, and then start lining stuff up to the grid. Yeah, oh, don't forget to lock things to save you some trouble and create different layers to organize stuff. Like right now, we have one layer, so everything's on the same layer. Let's create a background layer that I can move everything to. So this definitely should go on the background and lock that so you don't accidentally move it around. If you don't want to move your guides accidentally, like I am right now, go to view grids and guides, lock guides so you can't move the guides around. Keep your text boxes, all your text on one layer. So maybe I'll call this layer text, call this layer graphics, select all my graphics like this guy, and this guy, and move them to the graphics layer. Ungroup the selection or select a new group. Don't know what the problem is there. Move that there, move that there, and move that there. These other shapes, I guess, I don't know if I want to include that in the graphics layer or should I include that in the background? Probably in the background layer. So drag the box in the blue box right here, drag it to, oh, unlock the background layer first before you drag it to it. This is, I'm not trying to select him, I'm trying to select this thing. Drag that to the background layer. This can go to the background layer as well. This is on the text layer. These text, these, I'll put them on background. Actually, no. I don't want to put them on background because I'm going to lock the background. I'll just keep them here. Need to move these to match my grid. And let's balance this better. This can go here. This can go here. And this one, make this bigger so I can see more of my control panel. I want to click Align Center. Alright. Yeah, so I don't have a before after, but I'm sure it looks better after lining stuff up to the guides that I set up. Anyways, 9:45. So tomorrow and Thursday will be lab day. And that's pretty much it for InDesign 1. So let me give you the sign out code and stop recording. Well, let me know if you guys have questions.